Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class, which is from Canto 2, Chapter 9. This morning we're doing text 44. We're fortunate to have His Grace Vishnugada Prabhu from ISKCON, Philadelphia, to give the class. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhyeva patitānaṁ pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Parikshit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So we'll chant Jaya Radha Madhava. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
How come there's two of you? There's this kind of Harrisburg and this Parikshit Das. Why is that? Have you've expanded yourself?
The Parikshit, that's my cell phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So devotees, if you don't mind, you're welcome to unmute yourself so we can have a back and forth chant. If you're in a situation where you can do that, I encourage you to do that. There's so few opportunities to have kirtan together, so we'll take advantage. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha
Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari.
Yashodarandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Jamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamunatira
Yamunatira
Yamunatira vanachari.
Yamunatira Vanachari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha
Madhava Kunja
Vihari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajaka Acharya Ashtotara Satashi Śrīmad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai
Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Jai
Diskan Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai.
Jai
Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Bhashari Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Jai
Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai.
Jai
Vrindavan Dham ki jai.
Jai
Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai.
Jai
Ganga Mai ki jai.
Jai
Jamuna Mai ki jai.
Jai
Tulsi Devi ki jai.
Jai
Bhakti Devi ki jai.
Jai
Shamaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai
Gaur Prem Anande.
Hari Hari Bol
Glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Somebody asked me the other day, how come I don't chant Hare Krishna after Jai Radha Madhava or Nitai Gaur Hari Bol or all these other things? So what should I have answered?
You
Anyway,
saying that Srila Prabhupada wasn't doing it in the morning?
yeah, he didn't do. So anyway, I don't feel obliged or don't have the right to change things, so that's why. Anyway. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 2nd canto, 9th chapter, 44th verse. Tasmā idaṁ bhagavatam purāṇaṁ daśa-lakṣaṇam proktaṁ bhagavatā prāha prītaḥ putrāya bhūta-kṛt. Tasmā idaṁ bhagavatam purāṇaṁ daśa-lakṣaṇam proktaṁ bhagavatā prāha prītaḥ putrāya bhūta-kṛt. Tasmā idaṁ bhagavatam purāṇaṁ daśa-lakṣaṇam proktaṁ bhagavatā prāha prītaḥ putrāya bhūta-kṛt. Please chant.
Tasmā idaṁ bhagavatam purāṇaṁ daśa-lakṣaṇam proktaṁ bhagavatā prāha prītaḥ putrāya bhūta-kṛt. Hare Krishna.
Tasmā idaṁ bhagavatam purāṇaṁ daśa-lakṣaṇam proktaṁ bhagavatā prāha prītaḥ putrāya bhūta-kṛt. Hare Krishna.
tasmā idaṁ bhāgavatam purāṇaṁ daśa-lakṣaṇam proktaṁ bhagavatā prāha prītaḥ putrāya bhūta-kṛt. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who could chant? I know nobody else unmuted, but all right. No one else chant? Okay. Tasmā, thereupon, idaṁ, this, bhāgavatam, the glories of the Lord, or the science of the Lord, purāṇaṁ, Vedic supplement, daśa-lakṣaṇam, 10 characteristics, proktaṁ, described, bhagavatā, by the personality of Godhead, prāha, said, prītaḥ, in satisfaction, putrāya, unto the Son, bhūta-kṛt, the creator of the universe. Translation. Thereupon, the supplementary Vedic literature, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which was described by the personality of Godhead and which contains 10 characteristics, was told with satisfaction by the Father, Brahmā, to his son, Nārada. Purport. Now, I'm going to ask you, there's a lot of questions that can be asked about in this purport, so you might come up with questions yourself, but I'm going to ask you some questions, so please let's hear this good. Well, although the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was spoken in 4 verses, it had 10 characteristics, which will be explained in the next chapter. In the 4 verses, it is first said that the Lord existed before the creation, and thus the beginning of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam includes the Vedanta aphorism Janmādyasya. Janmādyasya is the beginning. Yet the 4 verses in which it is said that the Lord is the root of everything that be, beginning from the creation up to the supreme abode of the Lord, naturally explain the 10 characteristics. One should not misunderstand by wrong interpretations that the Lord spoke only 4 verses, and that therefore all the rest of the 17,994 verses are useless. The 10 characteristics, as will be explained in the next chapter, require so many verses to just to explain them properly. Brahmaji had also advised Nārada previously that he should expand the idea he had heard from Brahmaji. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed this to Srila Rupa Goswami in a nutshell. But the disciple Rupa Goswami expanded this very elaborately. And the same subject, was further expanded by Jiva Goswami and even further by Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. We are just trying to follow in the footsteps of all these authorities. So Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is not like ordinary fiction or mundane literature. It is unlimited in strength. And however one may expand it according to one's own ability, Bhagavatam still cannot be finished by such expansion. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam being the sound representation of the Lord, is simultaneously explained in 4 verses and in 4 billion verses all the same, inasmuch as the Lord is smaller than the atom and bigger than the unlimited sky. Such is the potency of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmā Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupa Gatamayam Dadati Shapandantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you all for being here this morning via Zoom. And I'd like to ask permission before speaking from all devotees and blessings, but also particularly from those who are senior either by age and or advancement in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. So this verse this is describing Lord Brahma after hearing the 4 nutshell verses, or chatushloki sometimes they're called, 4 verses, which are the seed verses of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Aham evasame agre, starting there. And that in those 4 verses, the description is, the point made here is that within those 4 verses, there are 10 characteristics, which will be described later, not in this chapter. So I'm not going to give away those 10 characteristics. That's for another day. But in any case, Lord Brahma, who did he hear these 4 verses from? That's a question for you.
From Shri Krishna.
Was it Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu?
Lord Vishnu.
Vishnu.
Okay, Lord Vishnu. In this chapter, anyway, he heard the verses from Lord Vishnu, who appeared to him there after he performed austerities. So then, we also have a slightly different picture given in the Brahma Samhita. In the Brahma Samhita, similarly to this chapter, Lord Brahma performs austerities for many celestial years, and then Lord Krishna appears to him. And when Lord Krishna appears to him, he plays his flute, and the flute enters Lord Brahma's 8 ear holes and comes out his mouths as the Gayatri, and the Gayatri is identified as the mother of the Vedas. So it's a slightly different picture. Do you follow? Yes? You understand?
Prabhu, can you, I'm trying to understand the slightly different picture. Is it because it's the Gayatri
So in
mantra?
this case, Lord Vishnu appears to Lord Brahma and speaks the 4 chatushlokis to Lord Brahma before Lord Brahma creates. And in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma also does austerities, but then Lord Krishna, not Lord Vishnu, appears to him. And at that time, he plays his flute. In this chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we don't, particularly since it's Lord Vishnu, we don't hear anything about the playing of a flute. You follow? So in Brahma Samhita, Lord Krishna plays his flute, and that flute enters Brahma's 8 ears because he has 4 heads, and it comes out Gayatri, and from Gayatri, the Vedas are manifest. And so there's not a mention in that as that picture given in Brahma Samhita of the 4 verses, the 4 nutshell verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So how do you reconcile these two descriptions of the creation, early creation? You understand the question now, Mother Anasuya?
Yes, Prabhu, I do, and I'm trying to think of the answer too. Yes,
Okay.
I'm cracking. Is it because it happened at 2 different times?
Well, there's no statement to
Yeah.
that effect. So there's no statement to that effect, but we see that there are at least superficial, if not deep, differences between the two. So to understand that, one might consider, at least, because how often does Lord Brahma create?
Every day of his.
Yeah, every single day he's creating.
Of his time, yeah.
Every single day. Not our day, right, but his day. Yeah. So the verse is there in the Bhagavad Gita that again and again the night comes and all these beings are destroyed, and again the day is there and he creates everything. So Lord Brahma's day job is to create the universe every day. Now, there might be some slight differences in that creation that happens, or some could be major differences in the creation that happens the first time after the universe is created from the breathing of Mahavishnu, the first time he creates, because then the living entities are in the Mahatattva and all. And other subsequent creations, when, it's just Brahma's day. Some parts of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam describe how in the night of Brahma, some of the upper planets are not dissolved in the water of the Garbhodak ocean. But when Brahma goes to sleep, as mentioned in the first canto, 6th chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Nārada Muni was describing to Vyasadeva his experiences, how he became, an elevated, liberated soul. And he describes how in a previous millennium, he had heard from the great Bhaktivedantas during the rainy season. And then after leaving home, after just 4 months, you can imagine, just 4 months, he heard transcendental sounds. And then his mother died from a snake bite. He left home and he sat down and he meditated on the Lord in his heart, as he heard to do from the Bhaktivedantas. And then Lord Krishna appeared to him. He was a young boy. So that was in a different millennium, a different day of Brahma. And then he describes how at the end of that millennium, he entered the body of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, along with Lord Brahma and other sages. And then the next day they came out and created again. So anyway, this creation and annihilation is happening, as we know, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, again and again. So there may be some differences according to the particular day that Lord Brahma does the creation. I find that interesting. I don't know. What do you think?
It was very intriguing. Yeah, I mean, I was really relishing how you were describing. It's very interesting. Prabhu, so okay, so when Narada Muni, at the end of the last millennium, merged, into Vishnu, and then I think you said, if I heard you correctly, and I may incorrectly, then when When Lord Brahma was born, is it like he was within Lord Brahma?
Who was within Lord Brahma?
Narada Muni, because he was merged in the last millennium.
Yes, but then Brahma was born. So usually, unless there's some change that I don't know, usually when Brahma is born, he comes out first on the lotus every day, and then the different sages and demigods are born from his, so Narada was born from his heart. How exactly that happened, I can't tell you. The Kumaras were born from his mind. So apparently he has different ways to procreate other than, sexual procreation. You follow?
Yes, Prabhu. The Lord is amazing.
Yeah. So these are the different, different kinds of species have different ways of reproducing. So anyway, Lord Brahma is a very special personality, the topmost personality in the universe, and he produces offspring like the four Kumaras, Narad Muni. Lord Shiva was also there, born from his forehead in anger, and Swayambhuva Manu and such like that. Okay. So this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the supplementary literature. That we lost the verse. Can we see the verse on the screen? I don't know. Who's on charge of the screen? Nobody? Okay.
Oh, there he is.
Okay. Yeah. Can we go down just a little bit? So it's in the purport. So I'm not going to talk about the 10 characteristics. I could give you a hint that they're, creation of the universe, etc., are described. Yeah. So then Srila Prabhupada makes the point, well, if Lord Krishna only gave 4 verses, maybe somebody will say, well, wait a minute. Those are the 4 verses. Why should we have other verses? You follow? So that's where Srila Prabhupada says, and therefore all the rest of the 17,994 verses are useless. Some people may say that. So, but then he says, but the verses have been expanded. And later he gives the example, just like Krishna, he's at the same time smaller than the smallest and larger than the largest. He's within the atom and he's outside the universe, as big as the universe. He's the Mahavishnu. So at the same time. So these things are mind-boggling. It's called achintya. So here, the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is 4 verses and many, many verses, thousands of verses. But here we have, Srila Prabhupada mentioned 17,994 verses. So do you have any idea how he came up with that number, 17,994? I'm asking. Maybe dear Krishna Prabhu knows. Anybody?
If it's 17,994, Prabhu, plus the 4 will be 17,998. But there are 2 more verses missing.
Yeah. Because we know in the 12th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, there's a delineation of the different Puranas and Mahabharata and how many shlokas are in each of them. And there, and in other places, Srila Prabhupada quotes that verse that says there that there's 18,000 verses in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So here, if you 18,000 minus 4 comes to 17,996, isn't it? So what do you make of that? I'm asking.
I don't know, Prabhu. You got me there.
Is it because the number of verses in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam has been rounded up to 18,000? That's also possible.
That was my first thought. Just like sometimes Srila Prabhupada says, the 4 ages He's, the Satya, Treta, Dvapa, and Kali. So sometimes he says 400,000 years in Kali Yuga, 800,000, 1200,000, like that. It's a rounding. So perhaps there's 17,998 verses, and it's a rounding. Perhaps. So I thought, well, is there any other evidence of that Srila Prabhupada has rounded the number of verses in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? And I didn't find anything. So I don't know why it's 17,994. But I did find other things about the number of verses in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. There was a discussion. It wasn't during Srila Prabhupada's time, but subsequently there was a discussion about the number of verses in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam with Gopi Paranadhana, who maybe some of you know. He was the editor of the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And so a devotee took the trouble of going through Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the 12 cantos, the 335 chapters, and he counted all the verses. And you know what the number he came up with was? 14,000. 14,000 verses, not 18,000, 14,000 and something in change. So there was a discussion. And the Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu, which, I couldn't find anything directly from Srila Prabhupada on this issue. So he said, well, actually, the definition of shloka, or in this case, we're talking about verses, shloka, is 32 syllables. So 32 syllables, many of the shlokas in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam are much more than 32 syllables. You follow? So the devotee who counted all those verses was just counting the numbered verses, and many of those numbered verses were of verses which had many more than 32 syllables. And Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu quoted the dictionary, the Monier-Williams Sanskrit dictionary, about this point. And so he said, well, so then my understanding would be, although he didn't necessarily count the verses, that if you take all the verses in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and divide it by 32 syllables, you're going to get approximately 18,000. Although he said he didn't do that, but that was his understanding. Do you follow? All right. Other people say that although, like I said, this is not from Srila Prabhupada, other people say that some parts of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam might have been lost over the eons of years, because we're saying that the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and it's there in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam itself, was compiled by Vyasadeva at the right between at the junction of Dvapara Yuga and Kali Yuga, which was a little more than 5,000 years ago. So things might have happened in that interim period. So anyway, that's the best I can do for the 17,994. So you can take with that. Okay. So then, go ahead. You were going to say.
No, not really.
So then Srila Prabhupada talks about Brahmaji had also advised Nārada previously that he should expand the idea he had heard from Brahmaji. So what does he mean, the idea? What do you understand the idea there to be?
The Tatu Sloki?
Yeah. Anybody else have any other? Brahmaji had also advised Nārada he could expand the idea, as he heard from Brahmaji. So then, did Nārada expand it?
I don't know that there's a place in Bhagavatam that says that, but Nārada has preached so many times in different places that we can say, based on his preaching, the answer is yes.
Okay, so good point. So in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we find many discussions or speaking of Narada Muni speaking. For example, he speaks to Vyasadeva, and that's included in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. He speaks to Prahlad Maharaj, and that's included in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. He speaks to Prachini Badhi, and that's included in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So in that way, you could say Narada has expanded, and it's captured also by Vyasadeva. So those 18,000 verses, where did the 18,000 come from? Or 7,998, if you want to go that way. Where did those 17,998 come from? Hello?
I think you already explained it, didn't you?
So if there were 4, then how did they become 17,998 or 18,000?
Oh, so that's from the expansion of the verses?
Well, that's what I'm asking, yeah.
I don't know, but I think that's just expansion of the 4 slokas. I mean, the first one alone.
Who expanded it? Who expanded it?
Well, Brahmā told Nārada to do that.
Anybody else?
Nārada did in fact speak to Vyasadeva. So from that point on, Vyasadeva did quite a bit of work too. The whole Vedas was divided into 4 and
yes, and finally, after compiling the Vedas, the Mahabharata, the other Puranas, and the Vedanta Sutra, then Vyasadeva was the author. He put together these 18,000 some verses from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and that's confirmed because in the description of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, at the end of the chapter, Bhāshyam Bhambrasūtrāṇam Vedartha Paribrimhitam. That's Vyasadeva is identified as the author of those 18,000 verses. And in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, there was no separate commentary on Vedanta Sutra up through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Every other Sampradaya, the Shri Sampradaya, the Kumar Sampradaya, and the Rudra Sampradaya, all had commentaries on the Vedanta Sutra. So in the time of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, where in Jaipur there was a center of Vaishnav culture during the time of Akbar and afterwards, that the challenge was put to the Vaishnavas, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, how can you be a bona fide Sampradaya unless you have a commentary on Vedanta Sutra? Up until that time, up till Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was considered there's no need for a commentary on Vedanta Sutra because Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the commentary on Vedanta Sutra by the same author. And who knows better the meaning of Vedanta Sutra than the author himself? So there was not considered to be a need for any commentary on Vedanta Sutra because Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is called the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
But in this time of in Jaipur, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas were challenged by other sampradayas. Well, if you're really a bona fide sampradaya, where is your commentary on Vedanta Sutra? So the Gaudiyas, they asked Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur to write a commentary. He was the senior learned Vaishnava Acharya at the time. He was in Vrindavan. But at the time he was old and a bit invalid. So he asked his disciple, Baladev Vidyabhushan, you please write. So Baladev Vidyabhushan went to Jaipur and he prayed extensively to Lord Govinda. Govinda ji had been moved from Vrindavan to Jaipur, and he compiled the commentary on Vedanta Sutra called Govinda Bhashya. Govinda Bhashya means it's the commentary by Govinda himself, because he's recording the commentary given to him by Govinda ji in Jaipur. So anyway, the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 18,000 verses, natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Okay, so Brahmā ji advised Nārada, Nārada expanded, and then Vyasadeva came up with 18,000 verses. He compiled those 18,000. He didn't manufacture them. He compiled them, 18,000 verses. So then afterwards, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed this to Srila Rupa Goswami in a nutshell, but the disciple Rupa Goswami expanded this very elaborately. So what did he? There's the same this. So what did Rupa Goswami expand very elaborately? Are you following? Then Jiva Goswami, then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they expanded the idea. How is that? So there were 18,000 verses by, did Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur expand the number of verses in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? What do you think?
Doesn't say so.
It says that they expanded the idea very extensively, very elaborately, right?
Yeah, but the number, when it comes to the number, we're not quite sure. Unless they just quit making commentaries, then of course the number of slokas won't change then.
Yes.
Just like the way Srila Prabhupada leave comments.
Yes, that's how I
write his own.
understand it. I checked with Balabhadra Prabhu and a couple of my godbrothers. That's how I understand that Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they didn't expand the number of verses, but the idea being to understand the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, they expanded it by their commentaries on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So they didn't add verses, but their commentaries are as good as Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Do you follow?
Yeah, absolutely.
So their commentaries are also part of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So we don't just read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam on our own and try to figure it out, but we understand it following in the footsteps of the Parampara, Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and Srila Prabhupada, as we're reading today. So Srila Prabhupada is also commenting very kindly, very mercifully, so we can understand Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So this is it. So the idea of changing or increasing the verses is not been done by any of the acharyas that I'm aware of. In fact, when Lord Chaitanya was in Jagannath Puri, he preached to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was at the time impersonal teacher. But after converting Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to a pure Vaishnava, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became so disgusted with his previous attachment to impersonal liberation that he wanted to change a verse from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which verse was Mukti Pade Chadaya Bhak. It says, the verse is, English translation is, a person who continues to suffer the reactions of his previous activities, but continues to offer respectful obeisances fully to the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the core of his heart, that person is eligible to inherit the kingdom of God. Mukti Pade Chadaya Bhak. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya took issue with Mukti Pade. Mukti Pade means, it could be interpreted as impersonal liberation. Of course, there's 5 kinds of liberation, but one of them is impersonal liberation. So he wanted to change the verse from Mukti Pade to Bhakti Pade. And he told that to Lord Chaitanya. So what did Lord Chaitanya say?
He was pleased with the idea.
What's that? What's that?
I think he was pleased.
It was what?
I thought he was pleased with the idea. I'm not quite sure at this point.
Yeah.
Or
He was
said it
pleased
wasn't
with
necessary.
the idea, but he didn't let him change it.
Yeah, he said it wasn't necessary. Yeah, that part.
So if you
That
look,
part also
look in the
gets-
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in that verse it's still Bhakti Pade. So I mean, sorry, Mukti Pade.
Mukti
Sorry, he
Pade.
didn't change it to Bhakti Pade. So important it was not to change any one word in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, but the understanding, of course, Lord Chaitanya, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, they all explained further the meaning of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, just as Srila Prabhupada is doing. And so I was looking for verses that might confirm this understanding that the idea being referred to is the understanding of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And here we have, here's the verse, is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 19. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Srila Rupa Goswami. So remember that in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says he would give instructions to Rupa Goswami in a nutshell, and he expanded them. So here's the first verse of that chapter 19 in the Madhya Lila chapter on Lord instructing Rupa Goswami. Before the creation of this cosmic manifestation, the Lord enlightened the heart of Lord Brahmā with the details of creation and manifested the Vedic knowledge. In exactly the same way, the Lord, being anxious to revive the Vrindavan pastimes of Lord Krishna, impregnated the heart of Rupa Goswami with spiritual potency. By this potency, Srila Rupa Goswami could revive the activities of Krishna in Vrindavan, activities almost lost to memory. In this way, he spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world. So you see the parallel between Lord Krishna enlightening Brahma and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enlightening the heart of Rupa Goswami, as mentioned in this verse, in this purport. Yeah. Incidentally, Rupa Goswami did write a commentary on the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It's called the Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Jiva Goswami also wrote a commentary on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam called Krama Sandarbha. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also wrote a commentary. And when Srila Prabhupada wrote his commentaries, he referred to these commentaries to inform his own commentary. Many of his commentaries that we read are not exclusively his, but they're reflecting what is given by those acharyas. And sometimes Srila Prabhupada will also add something. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for time.
So was that too technical? Was that too technical, this class?
Well, some may think that way, but sometimes the variety is needed also, including the technical aspect of it. So I'm personally, I just welcome that. But I don't know.
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. It's a so Srila Prabhupada was asked, well, you say the super soul is the distance between your thumb and your forefinger this big, but how about a super soul in an ant? So he responded, no, according to the size of the body, the super soul is that, so the super soul can adjust. And there was another time when Srila Prabhupada was asked by a woman, it was in Los Angeles actually. She said, is Joan of Arc in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? Or so he says, is there someone similar to Joan of Arc in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? And then Srila Prabhupada's answer was essentially, if she's a devotee, then she's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. She's in this. If she's a devotee. So is Chaitanya Charitamrita non-different from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? Is Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita not different than Srila Prabhupada for Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? Anyway, good questions. Hare Krishna.
It
Questions,
refers to the
comments?
same. Yeah. Yeah, this is the time to open it up for questions, comments, realizations. But the last one that you just talked about, yes and no. Yes, to the extent that they are all talking ultimately about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the comments are essentially the same. No, because each one gives his own flavor. Each person gives his own flavor about the comments that they make. So that's why I said yes or no. That's what's coming to me.
How would you rectify or take that in the sense of Srila Prabhupada's comment about Joan of Arc?
I don't know the history of Joan of Arc, so I can't really comment about that. But the answer that he gave, if Joan of Arc is a devotee, then yeah, he's mentioned in Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam actually covers affairs about all devotees anyway. It may not be direct, but
yes. So the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam might expand or contract, might be bigger, and it might not be identified as those among those 18,000 verses, but it's non-different from Srila Prabhupada, from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, in the sense that the activities of the devotee, pure devotees, are all intertwined with the activities of Krishna. So
yeah.
Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the interaction between Krishna and his devotees.
Yeah.
And so Lord Chaitanya is his activities. They're certainly on the par with Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And if you look in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur mentions that in the future, Vyasadeva will include the activities of Lord Chaitanya in his Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Very interesting. Hare Krishna.
That would be interesting. Hare Krishna. Okay. Any comments from the devotees?
I was hoping to get some discussion here.
Prabhu, when you were mentioning about Muktipad, I think it's Muktipad and Bhaktipadya, right? And
Yeah.
I think Srila Prabhupada said, I think Prakshit said that, he was pleased, but he didn't change it. So even though Srila Prabhupada was pleased with it, but he didn't change it, is it because he was teaching us or showing us that, that we should not change?
Yes, we shouldn't change the.
Even though we may not completely, Prabhupada was pleased with the bhakti part. Sounds like, bhakti padya as opposed to mukti padya, but still he didn't change it.
Well, he mentions, Lord Chaitanya also said that there are 5 kinds of mukti. 5 kinds of mukti. Only one of them is the impersonal liberation, sayuja mukti. And the other kinds of mukti are sometimes accepted, although they don't seek them. The other kinds of mukti, sarupya, salokya, samipya, and sarshti, are sometimes accepted by devotees. So it's not correct to say that mukti is exclusively impersonal liberation. He was, and the happiness that he had was understanding that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was so repulsed by his previous understanding that the topmost understanding was impersonal liberation. That was what was pleasing to him. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu. So, but
Yeah.
still, can we say, or is it safe to say that bhakti is the highest form of liberation, like the highest above the 5?
Mukti hitvanyata rupam swarupena vyavastiti. That's Lord Chaitanya's description of what mukti is. Mukti hitvanyata rupam. It's giving up all other designations, swarupena vyavastiti, but being situated in your constitutional position as being a servant of God. Yes, so that is the essence of liberation. And someone who is engaged in pure devotional service, according to Nectar Devotion, doesn't hanker for any other kind of liberation other than Krishna service. So that's parallel to what you're saying. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Good question. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
It's nice to have discussions as
Yeah,
much as
coming up on the top of the hour. Any questions? Any discussions?
And Prabhu, I was, kind of rereading the purport, a couple of times. And, Srila Prabhupada says that it's not an ordinary fiction or mundane literature, it is unlimited in strength. However, one may expand it and according to one's own ability. Does that mean, Prabhu, that, like we have commentaries written by senior devotees? Is that what Srila Prabhupada is referring here? As the commentaries to the Bhagavatam?
So depends on what the expand it is, right? What is it?
Yeah, right. That was my question.
So, do I know the answer to that? Well, it seems that way. You got Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and Srila Prabhupada all giving commentaries. Now, we'd be very careful that a person giving a commentary is giving a commentary following in the line of those acharyas. Like Srila Prabhupada, he's not saying anything different than Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So it could be true that there are those qualified to give additional commentaries on the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It's possible, certainly, yes. The only caution would be that person, if they were giving a commentary, I mean, we give a commentary on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam every time we give a class, isn't it?
Yes.
That's a commentary on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So, if it's a Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. So, but it's really important that we don't add our own stuff in there. That's really the important thing, or change the philosophy, or put our own views in. That which does happen. It does happen. So, just like Lord Chaitanya, when Vallabhacharya, who's the head of the Rudra Sampradaya, he came to Srila Prabhupada and said, to Lord Chaitanya in Puri, said, I have just written a commentary on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It's called the Subodhini Tika. And my commentary is better than the commentary of Sridhar Swami, who was one of the original commentators on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that Lord Chaitanya and other acharyas in our line of disciplic succession, they follow. So Lord Chaitanya smilingly teased him. He said, oh, you're giving up your Swami? Swami can also mean husband. So you've become a unchaste woman. Because giving up the Swami, Sridhar Swami. Do you follow? So he criticized.
Yes, yes.
So the point being that the commentaries should all be following those that were done by the previous worshipable acharyas. They shouldn't contradict or think they're better or any of that stuff. That's the point. So like when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami begins his Chaitanya Charitamrita, one thing you see again and again is he's offering his respects again and again to Vrindavan Das Thakur, and actually asking for his mercy and his permission to speak further. And he says, I am just taking the crumbs left by Vrindavan Das Thakur. So he's not saying I've got a better understanding. No, he's following in the footsteps. So sometimes when we speak, sometimes we speak on a subject matter and we speak extemporaneously, and we haven't taken the time to see what Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas have said on a particular subject. That's very dangerous. So we should first see what was spoken by Srila Prabhupada, and we're getting, the previous acharyas through Srila Prabhupada, see what they say on the subject, and we should be aware of those things, and then our speaking should be consistent with them. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dear Krishna Prabhu had a chat.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please share some
Please.
advice. Oh, this is from Dear Krishna, on how we can, at our level, execute the devotional process on the basis of Shastra given under the line of Srila Rupa Goswami. That is nectar devotion. Nectar devotion.
I was going to say exactly the same thing.
Nectar devotion. That's, I'll say some things here. There's been various, devotee handbooks, etiquette handbooks, and things like that. I know there was one etiquette handbook that was compiled by some disciples of Bhakti Churu Maharaj. Actually, it wasn't written by Bhakti Churu Maharaj, but it's been advertised as being written by Bhakti Churu Maharaj, but it wasn't written by him. But anyway, our handbook of how to follow the do devotional process through Rupa Goswami is nectar devotion, primarily. He gives the science. That's the etiquette. And there's so many rules, so many descriptions of the practices of devotional service, and then he goes into describing those practices, and then there's the offenses and all that stuff. And the different stages are very elaborately explained by Rupa Goswami. Vaidhi Bhakti, Sadhan Bhakti is Vaidhi Bhakti, and Raganuga Bhakti, two different sections or stages of Sadhan Bhakti. And then, devotional service in bhava, devotional service in pure love of God, all that's described. Is that okay, dear Krishna Prabhu? He might be at his work.
Put something in the chat. Yeah, she put something in the chat. Thank you, Vishnugada. Thank you for your sharing your deep insights. So yeah.
Our deep they are.
Any other questions or comments? If not, then devotees, thank you very much for coming on. Let's continue tomorrow. The more we hear, the more we get to understand Krishna. As your Papa said, we understand the business of Krishna consciousness. Please go on.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyeva chattanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all for your listening. Appreciate it.
Hare Krishna. Jai. Glory to the Prabhupada.